Welcome to today's video on the play Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett. In this video, I'm going to discuss about the term absurd drama and how it is related to the play Waiting for Godot. I'm Dr.R.Saritha, Assistant Professor of English from Sri Sharda College for Women, Autonomous, Salem. This play is prescribed for the second BA English students as part of their core paper, World Literatures and Translation. Let's move on to the video. So initially, I'm going to start this video with the term absurd. The theater of absurd is a phrase taken from Albert Camus' essay, The Myth of the Sisyphus. Camus defines the term absurd as the tension which emerges from man's determination to discover purpose and order in a world that does not possess it. The writers in the theater of absurd diagnose humanity's plight as futile. Their existence is out of harm with its surroundings. Awareness of lack of purpose produces a state of metaphysical anguish, which is the central theme to all the absurd dramas. Thus, absurd drama is the drama that deals with absurdities and inescapable ills of life. Next, we are going to see about Martin Esslin. Martin Esslin wrote a book titled The Theatre of Absurd. He popularized the term absurdist drama. He says that it is a term applied to a group of dramatists in the 1950s who did not regard themselves as a school, but who all seemed to share certain attitude towards predicament of the man in the universe, especially those summarized by Albert Camus in the book The Myth of the Sisyphus. The major dramatists of the group are Samuel Beckett, Eugene Ionesco, Arthur Adamov, the War Janet, and Harold Pinter. The lesser figures in the theatre of absurd are Robert Pignett, N.F. Simpson, Edward Albee, Firm Arabelle, and Fatah Gas. Next, let's see about the objectives of the theatre of absurd. The drama of absurd arises from the disillusionment and loss of certitude characteristics of modern age. It shows that universe has lost its meaning and purpose. Its first and more obvious role is satirical, as it criticizes the society as petty and dishonest. Its second aspect is that it shows that man is stripped of the accidental circumstances of social position or historical context, and he is confronted with basic choices, basic situations of his existence. Thus, the theatre of absurd is involved in relatively few problems like remaining life, death, isolation, and communication. Thus, this absurdist drama produces the effect of alienation. The theatre of absurd does not portray any kind of solutions or illusions or purposefulness of life. The historians of the drama prefer to believe that the absurdist movement exhausted itself in the early 1960s. Next, we are going to see about the main features of absurdist drama. So, it tells that life is essentially meaningless, hence miserable. There is no hope because of the inevitable futility of man's efforts. Reality is unbearable unless relieved by dreams and illusions. Man is fascinated by death, which permanently replaces dreams and illusions. There is no action or plot in absurd dramas. Very little happens because nothing meaningful can happen. The final situation is absurd or comic in the drama. Absurd drama is not purposeful and specific as it solves no problem. It is like an abstract painting which is supposed not to convey a definite meaning. This type of drama seeks to explore the complete isolation and anxiety of people who are social failures and social outcasts. And finally, action and speech are reduced to minimum in these dramas. So now we are going to see about Samuel Beckett, who is very well known for doing absurd dramas. Samuel Beckett was an Irish writer, playwright, poet, and novelist, best known for his groundbreaking works in the theatre, particularly the play Waiting for Godot. Beckett is considered one of the significant literary figures of the 20th century and a key player in the theatre of absurd movement. His works focuses on the themes of existentialism, absurdity of human condition, isolation, and passage of time. Next, we are going to see about the early life and education of Samuel Beckett. He was born on April 13, 1906, in Foxrock, a suburb of Dublin, Ireland. Beckett was born into a middle class Protestant family. His father, William Beckett, was a quantity survivor, and his mother, Mariana Jones, was a nurse. He had one brother, Frank. He was educated at the prestigious Portora Royal School, Northern Ireland. He later studied English, French, and Italian at Trinity College, Dublin, where he excelled academically and developed interest in literature and language. Next, we are going to see about the earlier career of the author. After graduating from Trinity College in 1927, Beckett moved to Paris where he studied and worked. During this time, he became fluent in French, which would influence much of his later writing. Beckett initially worked as a teacher and lecturer teaching English literature at various institutions, including London and Paris. His early career involved writing essays, poetry, and short stories. His first published work was a book of poetry, Horoscope, which was largely ignored at the time. He also published a critical study of James Joyce, whom he greatly admired. This book was titled Dante, Bruno, Vico, Joyce. This work demonstrated his keen intellectual abilities. Next, we are going to see about the influence of James Joyce on his personal life. Beckett's relationship with Joyce was significant, and Joyce's influence on his writing is profound. Beckett worked as Joyce's assistant, helping with the publication of Finnegan's Wake. The two shared a deep intellectual bond, and Joyce's experimental use of language and narrative structure influenced Beckett's later works. In 1937, Beckett moved to Paris, where he became part of the intellectual community. His writing began to reflect the influence of French existential thought, particularly the work of Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus. Beckett chose to write much of his later work in French despite English being his native language. He found French language more suited to the minimalist and experimental style that would characterize his later writing. Some of his most famous work, such as Waiting for Godot and Endgame, were originally written in French and later translated into English by Beckett himself. Moving on, we are going to say about the play Waiting for Godot. Waiting for Godot was initially published in 1952. It is about two characters, Vladimir and Estragon, and their search for a person named Godot. On one evening, on a lonely country road near a tree, two elder men, half tramps and half clowns, are waiting for someone named Godot, who they hope will do something for them. The two men, Estragon, also known as Gogo, and Vladimir, also known as Didi, are not sure what exactly Godot will do for them, any more than they know for certain whether they have come to the right place on the appointed day. They occupy the time as best they can until the arrival of Pozo, a local landowner. This local landowner is on his way to fair to sell his slave Lucky. Pozo halts a while with Estragon and Vladimir. He eats a meal in their presence, even granting them bones, which Lucky rejects. As a gratitude for their company, Pozo makes Lucky to dance. He then makes him to think aloud for their entertainment. The three of them became agitated by Lucky's intellectual performance that they all set upon him and silence him. Soon Pozo takes his leave, driving Lucky before him. Estragon and Vladimir, after some time, meets a boy. He appears with the news that Mr. Godot won't come this evening, but will surely come the next day. The boy departs. Night falls abruptly, and after briefly, the men decide to leave, but despite their decision to go, do not move as the curtain falls. On the next scene, the curtain rises the next day on a scene identical except for the fact that tree has put forth a few leaves. Vladimir is joined on the stage by Estragon, and much the same things happen, except that Pozo and Lucky appear, now in an altered physical state. Pozo happens to have gone blind, and Lucky being dumb. All four collapse on top of one another and then somehow manage to get up again. Pozo becomes exasperated at Vladimir's question about time, saying furiously that life itself is only a brief instant. Pozo leaves with Lucky just like before. After a brief interval, the boy comes again and delivers the message as before. The sun sets, the moon rises abruptly, the two men contemplate suicide, and then, despite their agreement to leave, makes no movement as the curtain falls. So, thus ends the play, Waiting for Godot. As one critic famously said that nothing happened twice in the play. However, Waiting for Godot is one of the most influential works in literature. It explores the existential theme of absurdity of human existence. The play centers on two characters, Vladimir and Estragon, who wait for a figure named Godot, whom they believe will provide meaning or salvation. The absence of Godot and their futile attempts to find purpose highlights the emptiness and uncertainty of life. The characters' conversation, filled with repetitive actions and existential doubt, reflect the passage of time and the struggle to find meaning in a seemingly indifferent world. Beckett's work underscores the human condition's inherent loneliness, frustration, and the search for significance in an unpredictable universe. Thus, we have come to the end of the explanation or analysis of the play. Now, let's discuss some of the MCQ questions related to the play. Who are the two main characters in Waiting for Godot? Obviously, the answer is A, Vladimir and Estragon. Next question. What does Estragon struggle with throughout the play? Estragon struggles with is the answer B, his boots. Next question is, what is the key theme of Waiting for Godot? So the key theme is the answer B, the meaning of life and existential despair. Next question, what is the style of language used in Waiting for Godot? It is answer B, simplistic and repetitive. So here are some of the references for Samuel Beckett's play, Waiting for Godot. With this, I'd like to end today's video. Thank you all.